This is a word somebody needs to hear. Because some of us, I'm just led to believe that God don't want anybody in here to lose what He's getting ready to give you. And it's so important for us to understand that we can lose great benefits and great blessings that God has for us by doing small things. Because we think that, you know, certain sins are acceptable to God or not punishable that bad by God. Well, I ain't going to get... He ain't going to do that much to me for telling a little lie, a little white lie, because we think the white lies are the lies that are really, it's not that bad. But a lie is a lie to God, amen? Amen. And we can lose out what God has for us. It's not so much about what we gain, but it's really us keeping the things that God has for us. So anyway, He's telling them that you're getting ready, or you're in a place of an abundant blessing. And what we don't understand, and we need to know about religion, that the things that we do in religion, we must do it from the principle or the standpoint of love. Anything you do concerning what you do concerning the church, anything you do that's tied into ministry, it has to be done from the standpoint or from the root of loving God. Amen. That's why God says you ought to love Him. People who love God don't struggle to serve Him. People who love God won't struggle against, you know, authority. People that love God, am I right about it? You're going to be absolutely obedient to whatever God expects of you if you really love God. It's just like, you know, and I hate to compare this, but it's really not like human love, because God don't love us the way that we love each other. It's unconditional. But if you love God, there are some things, there are things that you will not just, you won't do, you won't rebel against, because you what? You love Him. You love Him. Amen. So because I love God, I desire to please Him. The first thing you need to understand about gaining possessions from God is, first of all, you got to love Him. Yeah. Some of us like Him. Some of us like Him a lot. Amen. But there are very, 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 very few Christians that really, really love God. And I'm talking about with your whole heart. Yeah. You can tell based on responses. You can tell based on sacrifices. You can tell based on service and commitment. You can tell. You can look at a person's life and tell. Because sometimes, now we are fools sometimes, because sometimes people look like they loving God and they doing everything that they supposed to do in the church, but they just really like Him a lot. So we're all fooled, and God only knows, and let's be absolutely clear about this particular point, only God really knows everybody that really love Him. Yeah. The wheat are mixed in with the tare, which means those that are real, the real believers, somehow, you know, the ones that are not real, the fake Christians, we all sit together, we fellowship. So really, we don't know a person's heart. Only God does. Amen. Yeah. So Joshua is stressing to the children of Israel that first of all, you have got to love God with your heart if you're going to gain something from God, and if you're going to keep it, because He understood that love, when you love somebody, you won't stray from what they straight in the area that would displease them. Yeah. Right? Amen. Yeah. Y'all got me. So He said, take heed. Make sure you pay attention that you love God with your whole heart. Now, I know that there are times that some of us get in a place, especially situations and circumstances come up, and it feels like we don't love God. Yeah. You've got to understand this too. There are times when I don't feel like I love my brother, but I do. Sometimes love ain't based on really how you feel. Love is based on your response to a commitment, to how devoted you are. Somebody gonna get this in a minute. Yeah. So, because sometimes me and my brother might not be feeling each other, and I ain't feeling like I love him as much as I should, but there's nothing that he can't call me to do that I won't stand in and do for him. When he needs me, I'm there. Am I right about it? Amen. So don't get fooled with feeling that you got to feel like you love God all the time, because you don't have to feel like you love Him. Your response to what He commands, your response to what He requires of you would signify or tell whether you really love Him or not. Amen? Amen. That was a good point right there. Amen. Here's another thing you need to understand. Joshua told him, first of all, there's another thing. Else you know, first make sure you love God. Make sure you love Him. Secondly, in verse 12, he said, else if you do in any wise, go back. In other words, if you begin to backslide, don't go back to bondage, don't go back to Egypt, don't go back. Serve God, not out of a fear as a slave serves a master, but serve Him out of a reverent fear. That's right. Love Him so much that the love that you have for God won't drive you back to where you came from. Because many of us, I'm going to tell the truth, there's been times when I've done it. Some of us have looked back at our life and said, shoot, I ain't having that bad then. I was a lot more happier then. And we tend to compare our Egypt to our present state in our glorious state in God, and somehow and sometimes it do look better than where we at. But you got to understand that you will lose what God has for you if you go back.